Men's basketball receives a dagger to the heart. Swim breaks program records on the big stage, and softball struggles in Miami. Hi, my name is Gabe Newman, and this is your EIU Sports Weekly Catchup. We start with basketball because with the regular season nearing its conclusion, it's crunch time for both the Panther women's and men's basketball teams. Both took on Morehead State on Thursday. The women fought tooth and nail for every point with the Eagles and had the Groninger Arena crowd behind them as well. Into the final minute of the game, and a banged-up Ava Stoller came up clutch for the Panthers. She got around her defender and drove into space, and from the right elbow, floated a right-handed shot into the net to tie the game at 70 with 55 seconds left. It was a game that the Panthers really would have liked to win to keep pace with SIUE, who holds the last spot in the OVC tournament. Morehead State retook the lead with 30 seconds to go, and after an empty possession and two made free throws by the Eagles, the game was out of Eastern's reach, and the Panthers lost 74-70. The game featured 14 lead changes and 8 ties, with Stoller leading the way with 20 points, followed by a season-high 19 points from Ella Loon. Miyoshi Mason was the other player into double figures with 12 points. It went from bad to worse when, over in Cookeville, SIUE blew out Tennessee Tech by 16 points, and just a couple of days prior, SEMO had won. That means that the Panthers had to win out and get a miracle of results from around the league to sneak into the postseason. So on Saturday, it had to start with the Panthers beating Southern Indiana. However, another one-sided first quarter haunted the Panthers. The Screaming Eagles opened the game on a 9-0 run and used that cushion to lead the game the whole way and walk away with a 9-point victory. The final score of 72-63 on Senior Day confirmed Eastern's mathematical elimination from postseason contention. Sydney James DeRoche and Tiny Lewis were the only two Panthers in double figures, co-leading with 17 points each. So, with 2 games remaining in the season, the Panthers are left to reflect on an injury-riddled campaign and what could have been. Yes, Eastern struggled against the likes of Western Illinois and teams at the top, but despite currently being at a 3-15 OVC record and 4-25 overall, it could have been a different story if just a few things went Eastern's way in close games. After all, 9 of their 25 overall losses were decided by single digits. In men's basketball, the Panthers opened the week sitting tied for 7th in the league with Little Rock. On tap was what looked to be a tough battle against Morehead State, and a game the Panthers really felt like they needed to win against a Southern Indiana team that was already eliminated from postseason play. Thursday's game was as advertised. Eastern played another thriller at home against Morehead State. A poor start in the first 9 minutes condemned Eastern to a 13-point deficit with 10:55 to go until halftime. The Panthers responded with a 17-3 run and took a 26-25 lead with just over 2 minutes until the break. The second half featured mostly the Eagles holding onto the lead, and it swelled to a 10-point Eagle advantage with 1:10 to go. But a late 10-3 push in the final 70 seconds gave Eastern a slight chance. The Panthers had the ball, but had to go the length of the court and hit a 3 to tie, but the inbound pass was intercepted, and the game ended with a final of 73-70. In that game, Michi White was the main contributor in the first half for the Panthers and finished with 13 points, but it was Zion Fruster that led Eastern with an 18-point effort. Not a huge loss, though, because the Panthers just needed to beat Southern Indiana, a team already eliminated, to get back on track. It was a gut-wrenching defeat at the hands of the Screaming Eagles. The Panthers had to play catch-up for most of this one as well, as another slow start plagued them. USI had the lead for just over 36 of the 40 minutes and led by as much as 22 early in the second half. But when Zion Fruster drove to the hoop on a fast break and scored his team-leading and season-high 28th point of the game, many, including a charged-up Senior Day crowd, thought that was the dagger. But, as you saw earlier, Ismail Habib hit a fadeaway three for the win to break Panther hearts. It also stung because the other teams involved in the race for the final 2 tournament spots had better weeks. Little Rock beat UT Martin, who was at the time alone in first place, and Tennessee Tech won both of its games, meaning Eastern is now a game back of both of them and on the outside looking in. Eastern has Lindenwood and SIUE on the road remaining. Little Rock plays Morehead State and Southern Indiana, and Tennessee Tech has to run the gauntlet against the top 2 teams tied currently for first in the league right now, taking on both UT Martin and SEMO on the road. Check out our website, dailyeasternnews.com, for more coverage as the final week of OVC men's basketball approaches. Zion Furster's 18 points against Morehead State and 28 points against USI is enough for him to be named an OVC Notable Performer and the Daily Eastern News Male Panther of the Week. Panther Swim wrapped up the season at the Summit League Championships in Iowa City. Both the men's and women's teams finished in 7th place across the 4-day event. Across both teams, the swimmers finished in the EIU top 10 fastest times on 22 occasions and broke 6 school records. Alexander Sadowski set a new EIU record in the 200-yard backstroke with a time of 1 minute and 48.35 seconds. Sadowski also shattered the Panther record in the 100-yard backstroke with a time of 48.49 seconds. Luke Helm set a new 100-yard butterfly record with a time of 49.57 seconds. Nolan Wallace broke the 100-yard breaststroke record with a time of 55.8 seconds. Those 3 swimmers and Zach Clark combined to set a new record in the 400-yard medley relay with a time of 3 minutes and 18.78 seconds. And on the women's side, Genevieve Biberdorf set a new 100-yard breaststroke record with a time of 1 minute and 4.22 seconds. Biberdorf's record-setting performance is enough for her to be the female Panther of the Week for the Daily Eastern News. Denver won the Summit League as a team, and here are the final standings in both men's and women's conference championships. The reason EIU is so cut adrift from the rest of the pack is because they're swim and dive championships, and neither the EIU men's or women's team has a diving component. Beach volleyball opened the season in Ozark, Missouri at the Missouri State Tournament. The Panthers started tournament play with 3 straight losses to Lindenwood and Central Arkansas on Friday and lost to Missouri State on Saturday. Eastern finished up the tournament with a 5-0 win over D2 McKendree in the final game on Saturday. Eastern faced little resistance in that one as 4 of the 5 pairs won with ease, and all 5 of them won to hand the Panthers their first win of the season. Moving on, EIU softball struggled last week at the FIU Softball Classic. The Panthers lost all 5 games they played in Miami. Friday, the Panthers lost 10-5 to Incarnate Word and 3-0 to FIU. Saturday, Eastern lost its final game of pool play 8-2 to FAMU before losing the first game of bracket play 7-4 to FIU. Sunday, the offense had its best day of the weekend, mustering 6 runs, but had to play catch-up for most of that game after a 7-run third inning by FAMU. Eastern lost the final game of the weekend 9-6. Carly McKenzie was the losing pitcher in 3 of the 5 losses, dropping her record this season to 0-6. Offensively, the Panthers had some success with Chloe Wombolt, who went 6 for 16, and from Mary Beth Dyson, who went 7 for 17 across the 5-game span. Lexi Griffin hit her second homer of the year, going 2 for 3 and driving in 3 runs in the second game against FIU. Baseball had a barn burner against Butler that the Panthers ended up on the winning side of. Despite being out-hit by the Bulldogs, the Panthers outlasted them with a 15-12 victory on Wednesday. Eastern's offense scored early and often in that one. Butler mainly stayed in the game, though, thanks to an 8-run third inning. Jarrett Kinder and James Geschel helped restore order for Eastern as the 2 of them held the Bulldogs scoreless in the final 4 innings. Offensively, Luke Melton had a day, going 3 for 4 and driving in 4 runs. James Love and Peyton Wilson combined to drive in 6 runs and scored a combined 5 runs. Love hit the lone Panther home run. Eastern rode that into Friday's series opener against Arkansas State, and despite trailing 2-0 early, the Panthers found a way to erase the deficit. Quade Peters reached base on a bunt single in the fourth and drove in Ethan Rossi to make it 2-1. Then in the fifth, Peyton Wilson drove in James Love with an RBI single to tie it, and then Dylan Drumke gave the Panthers the lead with an RBI single to center, scoring Wilson. Tyler Conklin got the credit for the win to move to 2-0 in his second start of the season. Reigning OVC Pitcher of the Week Bryce Riggs worked out of the bullpen in this one and shut down the Red Wolves by scattering 2 hits across 4 innings of work and struck out 4 hitters to pick up his first save of the season. Despite winning the series opener, Eastern lost the final 2 games of the series. Game 2 was an 11-3 loss for EIU. Anthony Solis took the loss in this one after allowing 7 earned runs in 5 innings of work. Dalton Borff was the starting pitcher on Sunday's series finale, but he was chased by the Red Wolves after collecting just 5 outs. He allowed 6 runs on 3 walks and 3 hits. Arkansas State scored 8 of its 9 runs in the first 3 innings to collect a 9-2 win and a series victory. This past weekend was the last chance for indoor track to compete before the OVC Indoor Championships, so it only makes sense for the program to compete at the Illinois Last Chance meet. Some of the highlights include Mason Booker, who placed second in the 60-meter hurdles with a personal best of 8.53 seconds, and David Tuala, who placed second in the 60-meter dash with a finals time of 7.02 seconds. The Panthers will compete at the Indoor Track OVC Championships this week. Depending on when this goes out, they'll be in the midst of competition on Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's take a look at what else is going on in Panther athletics during a busy crossover period. Men's golf is back, and by the time this goes out, they may have already finished up action at the New Orleans Gulf Coast Collegiate, scheduled to take place Monday and Tuesday of this week. Softball has a doozy of a slate this week. The Panthers have 2 ranked opponents on the docket this week. On Thursday, Eastern travels to take on Arizona, who's currently ranked 15th in the country. Then Friday begins the Arizona State Grand Canyon Tournament. The Panthers will take on UC Riverside and number 22 Arizona State on Friday, UNLV and Grand Canyon on Saturday, and then wrap up the final tournament before the start of conference play on Sunday with another game against Grand Canyon. Baseball has a 3-game series on tap this weekend as the Panthers are set to take on Northern Kentucky, and it's the final week of the regular season for both basketball teams. For the women, it's the final 2 games of the season. For the men, it's do or die time. Both teams will travel to Lindenwood on Thursday and finish up the regular season against SIUE on the road on Saturday. To keep up to date with everything going on in Panther athletics, be sure to follow the Daily Eastern News on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and check out the website dailyeasternnews.com.